Not even looking at chat. Oh, there is a chat. I guess we're live.
All right.
So you guys are going to debate who and where and when. Who and where?
You want to tell them, Austin?
I don't know. I'm kind of ashamed.
Yeah, whenever you put it like that out loud.
Okay.
I mean, we're going to debate Donnie and Sam from Standing for Truth over on the Raging Tomato here in a couple nights. The day after tomorrow at like 8 o'clock or something, 8:15, something like that.
Raging Tomato, okay.
Yeah.
If we got a link we could throw out in chat, that would be good, and I can put it in the description also. So, yeah, that's I'm sorry, you guys. I'm sorry that this is happening to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, no, it's a daunting prospect, not because I think that, Donnie has amazing arguments that we just can't handle, but because I'm a little perplexed at how to deal with this kind of situation, because it seems to me like explaining and defending evolution and science to them just kind of feeds into their manipulation. And so when he proposed this debate to us, Adam and Eve, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be great. He's going to be in the questioner seat, and we get the Inquisitor's hat, and he has to defend his worldview now. But I realized after kind of looking into what he's done this debate before, and basically he just attacks evolution the whole time. It's like, It's so interesting for him to say the subject is Adam and Eve, but then he spends the whole time attacking evolution.
Right. It's not going to talk about Adam and Eve at all.
Yeah,
or how
right.
that might work. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they've got
a link in the private chat, Mike.
Okay, got it in private chat. Let me copy that out. Yeah, he's going to go through okay, there was a paper in 1997 called by Parsons for the FBI where they did a pedigree. They took grandma, mom, and child, and they tried to figure out what the germline mutation rate was, and they came up with, I forget what it was, like 1 in 36 generations or something like that. And then they took that pedigree rate and they extrapolated it and came up with 6,000 years is what they did. And the pedigree rate has very little to do with what's called the substitution rate, which would be the rate that applies to an entire population.
Right.
Because pedigree mutation. And they also use something called the control region where the sequence doesn't matter. So those things can mutate, and it's not going to affect the mitochondria at all. Now, if you get like 2 or 3 mutations in that control region, and then you get one mutation in one of the genes where the mitochondria doesn't work, that's all gone. And then you also have populations. You're dealing with populations. Then you're dealing with something called coalescence, which is the weird kind of like it's some weird math, and when you work it out, it's kind of startling. But there will be like one mother going way back, like 200,000 years ago, and it turns out that was the only one that successfully percolated through to the modern population, and that happens all the time. And the thing is, for every one of those genes, for every gene, you're going to end up with a different ancestor, right?
Well, let's be clear. What you're talking about is mitochondrial Eve.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunately named that.
Right.
So the thing with mitochondrial Eve is the science behind it in no way supports that it's an original female or the first female, or it's just one place in history, one lineage in history that we can trace back to, that everybody's related beyond that point.
Yeah,
and
it's not even
like chromosome Adam too, which is
it's not even like she was a lone female. There were lots of other females around.
Right.
Yeah.
And the thing is, now the important part is for every single gene or every loci in the genome, you're going to have a different mitochondrial Eve. Okay. It's not going to be the same one. Basically, and there's, well, of course, with the other genes in the regular genome, we've got the mixing from, the father and the mother. So it's even more complicated. But every one of those is going to turn out different. So if you looked at every gene on, or every couple of different areas in the mitochondrial DNA, you would end up with different mitochondrial Eves, which is something that's a little difficult to understand sometimes. But
well, sometime after they had done the study that placed this some 200,000 years ago, there was some creationist study done, of course, where they didn't use the same rate of substitution, and they changed some numbers around, and they managed to get it to come out to like 6,500 years.
Yeah. Well, they use the one that fit just perfectly. They picked that. Right. They cherry picked the one that fit. Right.
Right. Yeah. And so here's the thing with Donnie, right? And this applies to Sam too, because the guys over at Standing for Truth all have the same playbook, right? What they're going to do is they're going to quote papers that don't support their conclusion, and they're going to use this, they're going to try and throw all of these things up. Never mind the fact that like genetics immediately disproves that their point, right?
Yeah.
So they're going to throw out some science and use other. But Donnie's going to bring sources, many of which are going to be from creationist sources, but some that won't be. And so what I think here is that Austin is more well versed on the biology side of this and talking about the what's been passed down and all that stuff. During those times, I'm going to go look at Donnie's sources.
Okay.
Because every single time I've checked one of Donnie's sources, it has not supported the thing that he was saying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so my kind of attitude, I guess, towards this whole thing is that I'm going to show that Donnie's a dishonest liar. The science doesn't support that. So look, the science doesn't support what you're claiming. It doesn't. Mitochondrial Eve, none of the studies in mitochondrial Eve support the claim that you're making. Genetics completely goes the other direction and not only doesn't support it, but precludes your claim. So we know that humankind could not survive without a population. So with that, Donnie's going to throw up all this shit and he's going to say, well, what about this that says this? And what about this that says that? And, all you got to do is check his sources, because he did every time. Every time I've talked anything about what Donnie said, this has been the case.
Yeah. So broadly, I think our offensive strategy needs to be to steer him into as many and the biggest contradictions in his worldview that we can, and then make him sit in those contradictions. Because he's not going to want to sit in them. He's going to want to immediately shrug them off, pivot, and flit away to something else, right?
Yeah.
We need to keep the focus on the contradiction long enough to make him sit in it for a second.
Yeah.
And then what we also need to do is we need to stay calm ourselves while he gets emotional and question his version instead of defending ours, because that's what this debate is really about. It's supposed to be about questioning his version. He's going to come in and do nothing but question our version, and we're going to want to jump in and correct and push back on the things that he says, and that's going to keep us defending and explaining when we should be questioning him. So that will help him avoid questioning. So we need to just know that strategy going in. Broadly, our offensive strategy is to steer him towards contradictions and then make him sit in them. I think our defensive strategy can be summed up as just rational empiricism. It's wrong for anyone anywhere to believe something when there isn't sufficient corroborative evidence to support the belief. And I think if we keep bringing that up over and over again, it will start to get under his skin and it'll drive him crazy.
Well, we may even be able to talk him into saying that, getting to the, Donnie, should you believe things that there's not corroborative evidence supporting? And because really my tactic with all these debates is to make the creationists say the stupidest, most absurd things they can say over and over and over. I think that whenever I look at these debates from was I right about more facts, or were they, or whatever, like, it's easy to look at that and think that you've done something. But really the thing is your position effective at making your point? And I think that the most effective thing, and this is just my opinion, the most effective thing for people like Donnie and Sam is to expose them and to make them, and not in a physical way, but in an intellectual way, expose themselves,
Yeah.
So I'm very much like the science part of it. Like, again, like you said, I'm not defending science against these two. That's not what I'm going to show up and do. I'm not going to show up and defend. If Donnie wants to attack evolution, every time I will drive it right back up. Why are you saying this about evolution? You're supposed to be supporting your claim.
Yes.
Yeah. You falsifying evolution. If I give you evolution is false right now, it does nothing for your claim.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I always keep that. That's the attitude I take towards all creationist debates.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're exactly right. And like I said, I think one of the ways to get them saying dumb things is to steer them into the contradictions. And
Sure.
Like you said, pointing out that he's lying is a great idea. Just point out all manipulation. Like, I want to try and point out every scrap of manipulation, but I just know there's not going to be enough time. So let's just get the big whoppers at the very least, right? Like, point those out. And then when he's sitting in a contradiction, we can trust the audience to an extent, but I think sometimes it'll be worth pointing out that contradiction to the audience. Hey, I just want to point this out for the audience. He's saying that scientists aren't trustworthy and that science is founded on biased principles. But now he's also saying, listen, there's these scientists that support my worldview, and I think science can support my worldview. Like, he is coming into the debate with a ton of preloaded contradictions. We have a roadmap of what those contradictions are. We just got to figure out how to steer him towards them in the moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. What is the evidence for there being an Adam and an Eve, basically? And the only evidence that they have is that Genesis story in the Bible. There is no scientific evidence that said that there were two people 6,000 years ago that started it all. There's absolutely zero scientific basis for that. But he's going to say, oh, no, we have this cherry-picked mitochondrial DNA thing, and we did a calculation, and we came up with 6,000 years. And if you look at all the different calculations, I basically I don't want to get into too much detail, but there are about 7 or 8 studies that they did with different genomes from island populations that they know when the island was settled, and they were able to figure out how long it took, basically. And they looked at the diversity in these islands, and they calculated a rate. And when you come up with those rates, I came up with a big long list of different times that would have been to the mitochondrial Eve, and it was from 35,000 years to about 160,000 or something like that, or even more.
Well, so my question is, whenever something like that is said, is, oh, okay, so there's these studies that you have. Is that why you believe this is true?
Right. Right.
Yeah. Because, and again, it's about making him saying the most absurd thing, because he's going to sit and try and say these things support my worldview, but he already decided on that before he ever looked at any of this.
Correct.
And I want to make sure that he says that out loud.
Yeah. And let's see, the paper, I think Can and Stone King came up with 140 to 290,000 years. That's nowhere near their 60,000 or 6,000.
What's the name of that paper again, Mike?
That one is, let's see, Mitochondrial DNA and Human Evolution. And there were some recent ones that like I say, I haven't been looking at this for years, but there's one like newer study that came up with the mitochondrial Eve and Adam, and ChatGPT did not find it for some reason. I'm gonna have to ask it more. Let's see. Stone King, I think, is the person to look for. Vigilant and Stone King, and then there is, let's see here, Can and Stone King.
Can and Stone King. How do you spell can?
CANN. Can Stone King. There's a few other papers here too. Y chromosomal atom. That's Hammer. That is what I've got a bunch of papers here. Let me see here. Pedigree, Ken.
Yes, Aaron, that would be correct. Yeah. He's a preceptor.
Yes, Sam is like a dime a dozen preceptor.
Yeah. Yep. And then let's see, what else did I come up with here? MT duplication. Okay, mutation rates. Trying to find. Let me see, where am I at here? Oh, I had a big list of like there's 2 Dr. Dan videos you should watch. It just came out today or yesterday and 4 days ago, and they talk about the misunderstanding that Donnie has of mitochondrial DNA and how populations work. I mean, you get like Donnie like about 5 years ago, and I think he's probably done it recently. He's got this idea that there are like, okay, if there are 10 mutations per generation, well, then that's going to be 6 billion people times 10 mutations. So we have 60 billion mutations, right? No, that's not how population genetics works. The mutations don't add up for everybody in the world. I mean, all of our mutations don't end up in one genome. And he used to kind of like, he used to come out and say things like that, him and Raw Matt, and I was like, wait a minute, that's can't calculate history. It's like everybody's genome got together and took just the mutations, right?
Yeah.
And nothing else, and put them into one baby. And it's like, no, and that baby became the ancestor of all the future generation. No, that's not how mutations work.
He'll do a lot of drift, and he'll do a lot of Tompkins and Jeanson style stuff. And of course, that's because those are his mentors. Those are who the sources that he cribs his arguments from. So of course he pulls the same crap they do.
Yeah. So I'd like to see all the evidence he has, basically. Okay, Parsons et al. Found a control region pedigree rate of 2.5 substitutions per site per million years. Science News writer noted that naively applying that rate would produce an age near 6,000 years. The paper itself did not date mitochondrial Eve to 6,000 years. And then the Canary Island rates are something that it's an island where we know when people settled, and we were able to get a rate, a substitution rate rather than a pedigree rate, right? The pedigree rate is going to be what happens between you and your children, that sort of thing. That's pedigree. But a substitution rate is going to be what happens for a whole population over a long period of time.
Right.
And, see, it's taking one part of evolution and leaving out the other principles, that the other pillars of evolution, right?
Yeah.
So he wants to say this about, oh well, there's all these mutations or whatever, but then that leaves out the part about like there's things like convergence and there's stasis where there may be not as many mutations at some points. And also hereditary, like mutations. Okay, mutations that are passed on successfully. Some are phased out over time. Others become more prominent. Like I mean, it's. But again, like this is what he wants us to do, right?
Right.
He wants us to
get into the details.
Yeah, he wants us to come and defend the science on it, rather than him have to defend his absurd claim.
Right.
And
yeah,
so
it's not that we shouldn't wield the science in that way to sticking to his words, but it's just be careful of going over that slope to where you end up letting him, because the whole thing with all apologist debates is they have to shift the burden of proof.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've not only got a list of techniques that we can use to help reverse his gaslighting that I put together. I've also got a list of all of the manipulations and dishonest tactics we're likely to encounter. And I've got like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I got like 15 items on that list. And so yeah, I'm ready for it. The 5 first items are the ones we're going to encounter the most. And those are fake experts, logical fallacies, impossible standards, cherry picking, and conspiracy theories, which spells the acronym FLICK. So if we just keep an eye out for those things, we'll be able to identify most of his arguments as one of those. But then I've got some other ones like straw men, bad faith, mendacity, ignorance, overconfidence, confirmation bias, cognitive dissonance, rescue devices. He's going to hate that one because that's his favorite thing to claim.
That's his favorite thing.
Tropes and empty rhetoric.
Incredulity is a big one.
Yes.
For him.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the biggest thing with these guys is believerism, right? The only reason they have 6,000 years is the Bible.
Right.
There's nothing in science. There's nothing in geology that says that the Earth is 6,000 years old. There's nothing in radiometric dating. Nothing. That's all they have is the Bible, and this is what they believe in before anything else. And then of course they'll try to counter and say, "Oh, well, you guys believe in evolution." And it's like, well, I wouldn't say we believe in it. We accept it because it works.
That's just a self-defeating tu quoque anyways.
What that line ends up forcing him to do is to claim conspiracy, right?
Right.
So he has to say, all these scientists over all this time, they've wanted to hide the truth that they actually know that these things point towards a young Earth for, underpants gnomes, I guess. Like, I don't know. He's going to say conspiracy whenever you do that.
Yep.
So they came up with that one little paper that basically took Parsons' paper and came up 6,000 years. Well, these are all individual studies of different isolated populations where we've calculated the control region mutation rate is to the best of our ability over time, right? And they can, and depending on which study it is, here's the different rates we came up with: 13,800 to 68,200 years for just these. And you'll notice that I think the longer you do the study, the slower the rate is, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, if you just take it, like we look at you and your grandchildren and your children, we're going to end up with a really high mutation rate. That's the pedigree rate, right? But the substitution rate, the longer the population is around, the slower it gets. So you got to look at like you got to look at like 1 million years before it starts to settle down, and you can start coming up with some mutation rates.
Well, that's what they use to answer the question, because genetics concludes that we could not have the diversity of life that we have today if we came from a single pair of humans, right? And that's what he uses to avoid that.
Yeah.
Right? So they have substitution rates, and he'll say that he'll try to take those old substitution rates and say, well, if you use these numbers, which is what the ICR study did, they use those old substitution rate numbers, and then they try to come up with 6,500 years out of that.
Right.
I'm familiar with this one.
It's basically just lying with math.
Yeah,
and it's bad math.
It's using it's manipulative and it's sneaky, because he knows that those numbers that he's using aren't the current accepted standards.
Yeah.
Right. So our goal should be to efficiently refute it and then put him back on his heels. Donnie, you're cherry picking. Are we going to and you're also just attacking evolution. Are we going to get back to Adam and Eve? And then if he doesn't want to get back to Adam and Eve, say, okay, let's talk about cherry picking, and then go over the contradiction inherent in that. You're picking this one data point and ignoring all these other data points that go against what you claim.
Yeah,
so why
right.
does the one data point mean more than the overwhelming majority of other data points? Just keep steering him into contradictions. So, like, don't give him any good way to go that doesn't end in a contradiction, and we'll do very well in this debate.
I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
so too.
I don't know.
I think it's a low impact debate. It's the raging tomato. They're all Jim Bobites and MDD goons.
Yeah.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that are on the fence, and anybody who is on the fence is going to be a really, really curious person to be able to be in that crowd and still be on the fence. So we might be able to reach them.
This crowd.
Like, you remember Fran, Mike?
What's that?
You remember Fran?
Fran. No, I don't.
We met a Jim Bob fan once. He came on your channel and he talked to us a couple times. And he liked Jim Bob, but he recognized that Jim Bob was full of shit on evolution. He was like, I like Jim Bob, I disagree with him about. Those are the kind of people we might be able to help with this debate. So that's kind of what I'm thinking about. One thing for sure is that we definitely need to go in this with absolutely no need whatsoever for Sam or Donnie to admit the truth. Because if we need them to admit the truth, that's going to hurt us. Because they're not going to.
And they're going to gallop on you too. They're going to.
I don't want them to admit the truth. I want them to say the lie as many times as possible. That's what I want.
There you go.
Like, I don't need them to confirm science for me. They're not in a position to do that. It would carry no weight even if they did. So.
Well, that's one of the advantages you're carrying into this debate, then, because it drives me crazy that they won't admit the truth. I fucking hate it.
No, they can admit the truth, and see, that's why I use that tactic, is because they can admit the truth. No matter how many times you show them they're wrong, and they'll say the same shit over and over, because they can admit the truth. Because to admit the truth would be to deny their faith, and they're never going to do that. So they're forced to believe in the face of all the contradictory evidence you can give, and it doesn't matter. And that's why I brought up a minute ago of, like, Donnie, is this paper, this study that you're talking about, is this why you believe that we all came from two people, because of this scientific study, or did you have that belief and you found something that you can use to support it, right? Yeah. But I'm going to be looking up every source that Donnie provides, every single one.
The other thing you got to be careful of with Donnie is he's very good at chumming the water. He will keep throwing things out, and you'll be tempted to jump on everything, and he'll run through them so fast that nobody can make a point, right? So he'll if you back him into a corner on one point, he'll throw out something else that's so ridiculous that you feel you have to respond to it. Don't respond to it. Go back to the original point.
I will give it to Donnie on this one. He does have a bit of wit about him, like he understands, like, to stop and to try and make fun of us and stuff like that. Like, he knows what he's doing and doing those things.
He knows the Hovind shuffle. He learned it from the best.
Yeah.
I've watched him do his spiel on selling Volkswagens. And he has the same cadence. He does exactly the same talk when he's selling cars as when he's selling creationism, and it is unbelievable and we lost those videos, unfortunately, but they were just unbelievable. They were online.
I think Dapper has them.
Huh? Oh,
I think
really?
Dapper Dino has them.
Okay, he managed to catch them. Okay, I'd love to see him again, but it was awesome. I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, he went from being a used car salesman to being a used God salesman.
Yeah.
Another big thing.
Salesman.
Another big thing is that I think early on we need to come out and just, like, strictly outlaw jargon. Not maybe not outlawed, but say, hey, when jargon comes up, we're gonna stop and disambiguate, so everyone in the audience knows what we're talking about. Because Donnie likes to spew technobabble and jargon, and nobody knows what the fuck he's talking about. But to the audience, it just looks like he's talking confidently, and we're confused. So I think explaining the jargon is another good approach that we should establish early on.
Yeah. Well, good
But
luck,
other than that,
gentlemen. I would
we-
never do this.
I think we've got a pretty decent strategy and game plan. Hopefully our knowledge isn't lacking and we do a good job. I think I'm feeling a little more confident about it, having had this conversation and talk strategy a little bit.
Yeah. No, I think that, I mean, Donnie's going to try and throw out a lot, like you said, a lot of jargon and stuff to make it sound like he's saying something really important. That's kind of his thing too. Like with the, he's going to say, well, this paper, and that's the quote mining part of it as well, though, because he wants to sound like he's saying something profound, professional, some kind of expertise, when he's really just reading a sentence from a paper that also says that mitochondrial Eve was neither the original person or in any way, close to 6,500 years ago, or 6,000 or whatever number he's using.
So here's something that's really important. Okay, so they have these different ages, like Canary Islands. They had 2,500 years. They knew that it was 2,500 years ago, and they came up with 0.81 per site per million years, right?
Yeah.
And then if you look, these other areas like Samoa was 2,800 years, and all the way down to Papua New Guinea was 45,000 years. This rate keeps dropping. So the substitution rate, the longer you calibrate, the lower the rate is. And that goes against his idea, because with the rate he's using is for like 60 years, 3 generations, right?
Yeah.
And we're talking about 45. So when you go from 2,500 years, you end up with 0.81. You go all the way down to 0.28 when you end up with 45,000 years.
Yeah, that's a
so
huge difference.
The longer you calculate this, the more you work in what populations actually do to eliminate mutations, basically. And that's the important thing. So anyway.
Don't let me forget about the genus Tycuda when they bring up the Y chromosome. I forgot about that last time.
The genus what? Tycuda?
They're species of mice that has big Y chromosomal differences from other species of mice, bigger structural differences than the Y chromosome differences between humans and chimps. And of course, creationists will still accept that they're part of mouse kind. So by that logic, humans should be an ape kind. So
let me just try to understand Donnie's claim here about the substitution thing for a minute. Is it his position that every mutation that has ever happened in history should show up in every human being today?
It kind of seems like it, yeah. Yeah, he thinks that you can take these short-term 3-generation mutation rates and apply them to an entire population over time, over thousands of years, and it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and the only reason he thinks it is because you can manipulate the math to spit out 6,500 years.
Right.
Can you spell a genus of mice?
Tycuda, Taikuda, I believe. Is the
just like I thought. Okay, so mice. Okay, I want to look into that one. That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're created kind. Like if you drill down into them about their created kind stuff, they shoot themselves in the foot.
Absolutely.
Like I was talking about the other day, they will claim that chromosome fusion can't happen, yet in their created cat kinds, there's 38 chromosomes in some cats and 36 in some others, and so we had a fusion event, right? So
Same
how the hell
goats,
did that happen?
pigs.
I mean, that sounds like a argument to me. So
yeah, basically.
Yep. Anyway,
I plan to so like without being I don't know, obnoxious about it. Like I don't plan on treating Donnie's bullshit very kindly. Like I'm not gonna openly attack him personally or anything. You know what I mean? Like I'm just not. Yeah. I'm not game for all this. Like we're gonna sit here and argue about the settled science because you claimed something stupid. Like and he thinks that he has me burnt on the science. And I mean, you can say a bunch of words that don't fucking mean anything all you want, but like prove your point or shut the fuck up. Like that's kind of how I feel about it. And so I'm not, this is not, this will be less of a friendly debate than I had with Hovind. So, yeah.
Well, remind me to stay calm.
Because no, I'll be calm about it. I'll be more calm than I am now. But I just ain't going to put up with his bullshit.
No, if you stay calm while he gets emotional, it'll be really bad for him. He'll look crazy and irrational, and we'll look like the sober, reasonable, responsible adults in the room.
I would never give him the satisfaction of even if I was upset with him, of him knowing it. Like, I would never let him know such a thing. What I mean is, I'm gonna call him on his bullshit and call it bullshit because it is. Let's call it what it is. You're just making fucking absurd claims and then trying to attack science and claim that that's support of your stupid shit. And it's just not.
Yeah.
I kind of like the guy. I like him. I like him a lot. I mean,
I liked him until he started calling me a chicken shit and stuff because I wouldn't debate him on MDD.
Oh yeah. Well, he can be obnoxious as shit, but that's all part of his act. When you talk to him privately, he's a very different person. So,
and I have friendly conversations with Donnie. That's fine and well. But whenever it comes to this thing of again, you want a lot of people and you want to manipulate things and be a sneaky little shit about it. Those things, I'm not going to just not call you a sneaky little shit because we're having a debate and then that's not the way you do it. I'm gonna, when he's being a sneaky little shit, I'll tell him so. Like I'm not gonna sit and defend science to this guy. Like, I will watch Donnie's whole mitochondrial Eve and Y chromosome thing that he's done like 25 different times on his channel. I will look over that because he's going to say the same exact shit that he said in that. He's going to use the same slides and the same papers and the same shit. So I will watch that beforehand and be prepared for his points. Don't misunderstand me when I say these things. I don't mean that I'm not going to use those facts and things to my gain, because I certainly am. But I'm not going to sit and defend them to creationist claims.
I like how we are just like, we don't care about Sam at all. Just fuck that guy. We don't need to prep. He's a fucking pre-cover.
Sam is just, oh my God,
you lose just because your position is trying to justify being incurious over being curious. So
yeah.
Okay, guys, want to wrap? And
I think that's a good place to wrap it up. If there's nothing else, I think I went over all the notes I wanted to address.
Yeah, and both of you stick around after I end the stream. Okay. I want to talk to you. So, ready to go?
Yeah.
Goodbye, cruel world.
Bye, everybody.